Hi, everybody. Oh, wait, I've got to make you a co-host, Mrs. Lalama. Hi. One moment. All right. All right. So I just want to make a quick opening remark. We've got a lot to share with you in a short amount of time, and this will get followed up with an email and a letter recapping the information. We've got we have normally I have some open-ended time, so even though we start on time, we can go over. Today that is not the case. So we're going to be planning on, getting through the information. This is really more of an information session that we hope will empower you and get you excited about your ninth graders start to the school year in person and online. So with that, I'm going to turn some of this over to Mrs. Lalama, who has done a lot of work to put together this PowerPoint, and the two of us will kind of go back and forth in the sharing.
Good evening, families and parents. Had to check myself with the technology. Welcome. Hopefully we'll be able to provide some general information for you tonight and answer all those questions that have been swirling in your head. There's a lot of information that we're going to be sharing with you. So if you want to get a pad and paper, maybe to jot some of this information down, but we can also have this information available to you from our HMTCA website.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Okay, so first and foremost, through all these changes that we have been through and our unconventional start to a school year, HMTCA does continue to hold these 5 values up in the front and foremost of what our work here at HMTCA. So HMTCA does continue to be honorable in our actions, mindful of our diversity, thoughtful towards others, creative in our expressions, and ambitious in our scholarly endeavors. And we've certainly had to call upon all of these strengths and skills. All right, so here is a big overview. You are our families of our 9th grade students. So I'm going to direct you to the columns on either end here. If you take a look at the column on the left, far left, in person, in school, in-person learning, grades 6 through 9. This includes your 9th grade learners. Our school hours are Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday is a full school day, 7:30 to 2:40, and every Wednesday is an early dismissal. Okay, so make note of that. That's for our in-school, in-person learning. Over to the other side, the orange column, this is our schedule for our full distance learners, Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 2:40 with an early dismissal on Wednesday. Our early dismissals are at 11:30. So whether you have a 9th grader in school here with us or virtual, their school day hours remain the same. with the Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, regular school days, and then a Wednesday, an early dismissal. So that's with the exception of our first week of school. So you probably know by now, Tuesday, September 8th is a big day for our 9th graders. That's their first day of school. They'll be here in the building with our 6th graders also. So it's over in our middle school. So the 9th graders will have the building to themselves, the full day to themselves to run through all the procedures. And then you'll notice during this first week, they're not back until Friday. And it's again, a full day of school. So for our 9th grade learners, first day of school, Tuesday the 8th, they're home Wednesday, Thursday. They may or may not have assignments for those days. We're just getting ourselves settled. We're getting ourselves set. So they may or may not have some basic assignments for Wednesday, Thursday, and then they return on Friday to meet their day 2 teachers. In the high school, we run a day 1 and a day 2, and I'll talk a little bit more about that schedule too. And then looking at our following week, beginning Monday, September 14th, it's regular school. Keeping in mind, Wednesdays are half days, right? So for our 9th graders, they're here all week with an early dismissal on Wednesdays. Okay. All right, here's some very important safety information. We are asking that all morning drop-offs take place at our bus loop that is out back. That's where our school buses drop off our students. It is not a big lag. Those buses empty and move on. And that's what we'll ask all student drop-offs, cars, shared rides, big vans, one kid in the car, all drop-offs for safety purposes. Please use our bus loop. You can access our bus loop on Brownell Avenue. You can get onto Brownell Avenue from Washington Street or Broad Street. The driveway for the bus loop is up closer to Washington Street, okay? It's the first driveway. If you turn down from Washington, it's the first driveway on your right. If you're coming up from Broad, it's the last driveway on your left, okay? Oh, and I didn't finish the pickups. I'm sorry about that. So as usual is what I was going to write. With the pickups, we do not feel it's a good idea to use the bus loop for the pickup, all right? Because that's where you will get stuck. The buses are there for a little while till they all load up. So the pickups at the end of the day as normal. If you have we have a cutout here on Broad Street. If you're traveling toward downtown, if you're traveling, I'm not going to guess at the direction, I think it might be east, we have a cutout on Broad Street and we have a cutout on Vernon Street. This is a very busy time of day. We discourage pickups on the other side of Broad Street where the kids are crossing those very busy streets with cars parked on both sides. So please, again, drop-offs in the morning, use the bus loop, please, and pickups in the afternoon, as usual, on Broad and Vernon with safety. All right, here's a look at your high schoolers' daily schedule, right? So I'm just gonna walk you through it. The doors open at 7:20. All right, school begins at 7:30. Our blocks are about an hour and a half long, right? So we can see they're 7:30 to almost 9. We have our trin prep next, which at the beginning weeks of school, they're going to be in their advisory with their advisory teacher, getting the protocols, learning their schedule, getting all kinds of start of school information. Second block is when we have lunch. We have 2 lunch waves in our high school. And so it is in between the student's second block class. They'll have some of their second block class, go to lunch, and return to their second block class, whether they have the first or the second lunch wave. And then third block begins at 11:48. And then a final block of the day, block 4. Now, I had mentioned day 1 and day 2. Many of our core classes run every day. Many of our core classes run every other day. So that's why we have a day 1 or day 2. Your student schedule may vary day to day. And we'll show them how to read their schedule and follow it. So, gee,
Yeah. So maybe,
yes, I'm going on and on. I'm not pausing for Mrs. Goldstein. If you want to.
Great. Yeah, I'll jump in this part. I'll jump in here.
Yeah.
Because like you're saying, Mrs. Lama, this is, it's a shift. It's a shift. Even your students, the bell schedule is going to be familiar because they followed that in 8th grade. And the 9th grade, they will follow the bell schedule, but it will be a more individualized schedule. And I wanted to just pause on that to talk about that this schedule that Mrs. Lalama went through is the same for our online learners. So we're going to go into our online distance learners a little bit more depth coming up. But as we're talking through our facility and how the schedule works, anyone whose student is signed up for online learning this all applies to your student as well, but from their home. And we'll get, like I said, we'll get into that. So that's why we wanted to put in, like, how will my student know where they're supposed to go? So let's start with the in-person. And the in-person students are actually going to get their schedules from their 8th grade teachers who are going to be waiting there for them, very excited to see them, because when you looked at the staggered start, possibly in another communication, our 8th grade teachers don't have their in-person students that day. So they will help guide your 9th graders toward where their advisory is, and then they will also be stopping by to congratulate them and check in with them. Distance learning, I want to say a couple things about this. I want everyone to know we are still one school. We have the students, regardless of where they are, whether they are in this building or in a home or wherever they are online, are equally as important. And why you're hearing so much about our school facility has a lot to do with safety, because as you're used to hopefully hearing, safety is our number one concern, and safety comes from knowing the routines and knowing the protocols and such. So you will hear more about that because the safety is heightened. The need for safety is heightened that much more for our students who are coming to us in person. So for our distance learning, again, distance learners will get an email, and I'm going to say something about email in a second, from the school messenger. And we will be meeting in this same Zoom room that you just tuned into. Every time you get an invite, it's the same address. The address never changes. So anything, and also so that they will come here, and counselors and some of our certified staff will be here. We will greet them, and we will be guiding them to their Google Classrooms. We will answer their questions. And you can also see, we will be sharing a day shortly where our distance learner parents and or students may come to the school to pick up textbooks and paper copies of your schedule, and things like that. So there will, in the first week, similar to when a student arrives back at school, where there's like a little bit of uncertainty, there is going to be that this year too. And we're going to still be right there for you in distance learning. So once your student gets the Google Classroom codes, they will be off and running no problem. And they are going to get live instruction in their distance learning classes. So we can move on from there, but that's with that. Yep. So the Zoom room, you will get that code sent to you again.
So just a protocol, being on time, arriving at HMTCA, where do I go? We do have designated areas for all grades. Take note, our 9th and 10th graders, when they arrive at school, whether they're getting off the bus or getting dropped off at the bus loop, the 9th and 10th graders are staying right on this area, this side of the building. It's between HMTCA and Montessori. There are spray painted lines that designate social distancing, and we would ask our 9th graders, once arriving at school, while we're waiting for the doors to open, to please line up with their masks on. Once they're even on the bus, they have those masks on. Exiting the bus, the masks stay on even though we're outside. You're now on school grounds, and the masks do need to stay on, unless you're in a circumstance where the mask comes off, which we can talk about that too. But when you do arrive at school, between HMTCA and Montessori, and then there is an entrance door there, and that will be the entrance every day for our 9th and 10th grade students. Our 11th and 12th graders are at another door. Our 6th graders, 7th graders, 8th graders at other doors. So we're really taking conscious efforts to have our students in different areas outside of the building. So please, 9th graders, upon arrival, you're on the Montessori side between HMTCA. There's a door there. We'll be there to help you also. As I said, 9:20, the doors open. The cafeteria will not be serving hot breakfasts. However, there will be a grab-and-go breakfast available for all students if they choose. That would be distributed at that time. And they can bring those into their first block class. Our school day begins at 7:30.
So that is, for any of our students who might be on this call, that is a little bit different, right? But this is how we have to operate, as far as like doors opening at 7:20, not using the cafeteria, having just the grab and go breakfast. These are things like, that we're put in place for the sake of, with the COVID-19 protocols in mind. So that's not unique to our school. Any school in Hartford Public Schools has a similar routine with, being clear about when our doors open and things like that. So it's not, it's something that we have to do for the greater good. So let's talk a little bit about our in-person classes. One thing is that our HMTCA classes and then we'll be talking about distance learning in probably the second slide after this. So classes are going to be taught by your HMTCA teachers. The schedule will follow the block, which you saw that. We will use Google Classroom as a place to put the assignments, to put where students can upload their work, and that the expectation is that either the school loaned, or if you are using a personal device, is going to be used both in school and outside of school. So that's got to be a new routine. That, again, so much information you're getting now. You don't have to remember this, but you'll hear that again with the teachers. The class sizes will vary. and that the desks are spaced as socially distanced as possible. So the other thing that is the CDC guidelines that is really, I think maybe it's in another slide coming up too, is kind of like a new code of conduct for all of us. Masks are worn at all times. You might say, well, you're not wearing a mask right now, Mrs. Goldstein. I'm in an office and what I'm doing is allowed to be that way. But if I were in the presence of other students, that is not the case. So the mask is worn. Hand sanitizing occurs at the beginning of school, at the beginning of each class. And we're all going to be partners in this. And the mask breaks will be provided throughout the day. And the masks, similar to just getting up in the morning and getting used to coming back to school, the masks will work the same way. It's a little adjustment to have them on throughout the school day, but it's definitely doable, and it will become kind of normal before we know it. So maybe, I know Ms. Brahman is also on the line, joined us for this meeting, but maybe Mrs. Lalama and Ms. Brahman to talk a little bit about our distance learning.
So we have about half of our high school in distance learning, and these, we're very pleased to say, all core classes are taught. All the classes, all the distance learning here is taught by our HMTCA teachers. So we want to be clear about that. We did run into some clever thinking. How do we offer virtual AP classes? And Ms. Brahman will be overseeing those as a VHS class. We have had students take AP VHS, which is virtual high school. That means they will be, you will have an online virtual class. This is not taught. This one is not taught by an HMTCA teacher, but this is through a very reputable company that we have used before with AP classes, virtual high school. And Ms. Brahman, I don't know if you want to give a quick word about VHS.
Sure, no problem.
Thank you.
So virtual high school has been in our school now. This is our 8th year using them. They are a nonprofit education organization that has been in school systems now for 26 years offering distance learning. It's kind of crazy to think it's been that long that they've actually been out there. They're based in Massachusetts. So the majority of the schools, districts, and members are basically on the Eastern Seaboard, but this is a global program. So your student, if they're taking a virtual high school course, could be logging in and being a classmate to somebody in India, for example. It goes the full globe, which is a really cool bonus part of the VHS program. We've had students take APs with great success. They are of course very demanding, but I'm there to help support them, and I'm there to help facilitate their learning and any issues they may or may not have during their experience. I also will do not necessarily daily check-ins and following into their course. I have to monitor the work that they're producing. And I'm kind of the go-between between the VHS distance learning teacher and the students that we have from HMTCA. So I'm there to advocate for our kids and help them in any way they need.
And I would just like to jump in for a second to just not to confuse people, but the AP classes are generally participated by our juniors and seniors. And so for 9th grade, this is not a this won't matter for your students, but it's a great feature that we've been really proud to have at HMTCA.
The schedule that I showed a couple slides prior is the schedule for our distance learners as it is with our in-school learners. So there's one school schedule of the 4 blocks. All the coursework for our distance learners, you will get your classroom codes and you will find your assignments and all your teaching tools there in Google Classroom. And just to be clear, all teachers throughout the building will house their assignments and resources in a Google Classroom. So it's not only for the distance learners. We have found it very Great success and organization for teachers and students to use Google Classroom. And the teachers will give you the address for the Google Meet. We use Google Meet, which is very much like this program that we're using now, Zoom, and that's how the teachers will provide the live instruction to the students. They're going to have those students right in front of them. There's tools within Google Meet and various strategies that the teachers have been learning to meet the needs of teaching students that are distant learners. So technology. So all the high school students will need to access their laptop computers on a daily basis. So all of our ninth graders, they should have a computer from 8th grade. Hopefully they took good care of it over the summer. You will be bringing that to school back and forth every day. During the first couple weeks of school, we're going to be, you know, checking. We may need a new cord. My mouse isn't working. There's a crack here. You know, it's a big undertaking. We will get to it. We need the students to bring them with them when they come to school, and we will take note, check those computers, make sure that they're able to connect. That paramount, particularly for all of our learners, but particularly for our distance learners. We need to set a plan, just as Mrs. Goldstein had mentioned, picking up textbooks, a paper schedule, tools that you may need for your classes. We will also schedule laptop technology checks, repairs, change outs for our distance learners. So eyes and ears open, that is to be coming those first couple of weeks. So this is more along the lines of our in-school students. As Mrs. Goldstein mentioned, we have an agreement. We are going to require an agreement for our in-school students. So you can take a look. These are not unfamiliar. These are what our society has agreed to live by to keep the infections down and people safe. So it is mandatory that a student wear their face mask at all times. There will be planned mask breaks throughout the day. And when students are eating, certainly those masks are coming off. And we just want to be aware of the kinds of masks students are wearing. Solid colors, patterns, that's great. We really are discouraging wordy logo, symbols, political statements, anything just like with hats and clothing or t-shirts on dress down days. Nothing that's too distracting or inappropriate for school. Same with the masks.
Yeah, it's just going to be solids and patterns. So it's not a judgment. It's not, it's with no due respect. We actually have staff who have, people sometimes put sports teams on their masks. We're not wearing those during the day. You won't see staff wearing those. Even if it's even there's adorable minions or things like that, or sometimes face, sort of cute faces, those will not be permitted. That's not with the staff and not with our students. So just plain patterns and solid colors.
And just following along, adhering to the 6 feet social distance. We have the labels on the floor. There will be specific directions as to walk through the high school, and just give yourself and your neighbors just a little space, just as we've been doing in society when we're out and about in a store or in a public area. You're just making sure that you're not up on anybody else, even a friend that you're so excited to see. Just we all learning to kind of just keep our own personal space. I talked about the traffic patterns. Mr. Patel has worked wonderfully in our school, very thoughtful, directions, signage, reminders, and it's my responsibility to take care of my mask, know where it is, when it's off for a break, it stays close by me, and it's my responsibility to take good care of it. So you students are to maintain, make sure that they're, if they have a cloth mask, it is part of the cleaning and laundry, and if they have students wear anything like a face shield, that is maintained. It's part of the student's responsibility for care and certainly cleanliness. Continuing on, hand washing. Our middle school had some sinks. We don't have sinks in all the classroom here in the high school, but there is hand sanitizer, and certainly bathroom breaks where students will have access to the soap and water.
About 15 minutes left to our presentation. I know
All
we have
right.
a bunch to go. I'm going to
So-
jump in because I've been doing some private chat, so I've been sort of monitoring it privately.
Okay.
So I want to just answer a couple of questions, and I'm going to put something in the chat box, a link in the chat box, because I'm getting some questions about if you didn't borrow a computer from the district and you need one. Two things. One, high school is, I believe, tomorrow from 10 to 1.
Mhm.
If you need a device that you had not signed out from Hartford tomorrow, and this, by the way, I sent out an email, which is probably how you found out about this meeting, but it has that in there. So the one thing that the district needs is there's a link so that they have a record of who needed the device. So you fill out that you need the device, and we will sign it out. And the entrance to that is on Broad Street. So right at the high school main entrance is where that sign out will be. And obviously, anyone who missed that, when your student gets here, we will have that, and we will also be distributing textbooks and materials, as I think I mentioned, once we get them all in place. So you will be given communication for a distance learner to come in to pick up your textbooks and have an opportunity again there. So that's that.
So I'm going to pick up the pace on a couple of these slides because this is information you will see again and again. This is so the kids know who their school counselor is. We have two wonderful counselors in the high school. Beginning of the alphabet is Miss Tamburo, and the end of the alphabet is Miss Kaiser. We'll have opportunity. We have 3 team leaders in the high school. Miss Sharp is our math teacher and our math leader. Miss
Hi,
Brahman.
I'm here today.
Oh, there she is. There's a shout out for Miss Sharp.
Hello.
And Miss Brahman, we heard from. She is our VHS teacher. And then Miss Kaiser, I don't know, she's busy with the scheduling. She is also a team leader. We also have department leaders. And this is if you have a content concern. These are the teachers that are leaders. And again, this is information you'll see again. Students, this is something that is familiar to you, our 3 basic expectations, and then that 4th overarching expectation there to follow all of our COVID code of conduct, right? So unfortunately, we will not be using lockers. So students will be carrying their backpacks with them at this time, class to class. So keep that in mind, not to weigh them down with all kinds of extraneous things, because you'll be lugging those around. Our dress code has not changed for our high school. It's changed from middle school, though. Now the students will be wearing a long or short sleeve Oxford. It's a button-down shirt They're available mostly in blue. I think we can probably still find some gently used yellow ones, but I don't think our vendors are selling the yellow any longer. But those must have the HMTCA emblem on them. That's required. Every student must have an HMTCA school shirt. That part is required, and the school pants are required. Just the chino regular khaki pants or the solid navy blue pants. We do discourage the cargo pants with the multiple pockets or the joggers. You know, we're just looking more for, you know, a professional look in the high school, more of those chino pants. Now, the other items are optional. The shirt and pants are required. The students, they could wear navy, sweaters, over their Oxford shirt, a fleece, the quarter or the full zip over the Oxford. It gets chilly in the winter time. So I recommend to students, they could also wear things under their Oxford shirt, a turtleneck, a long sleeve t-shirt, and those would be navy or white. Because some days it gets chilly and you just want to be prepared. And that doesn't mean, oh, I'm just going to wear anything. It still has to be part of our uniform. And again, just as we have been encouraging for years, we don't allow the students to wear hooded garments throughout the day. So hopefully you're having luck getting your 9th grader their uniform shirt. We had a massive donation of gently used uniforms this year, and they will also be available $1 per shirt, but we're asking a limit of 2 shirts per student, and we have oodles of them. And I'm sorry, I don't have that sale time, Miss Goldstein.
Tomorrow. Yeah, it'll be tomorrow at the same time of the computer drop off. And then we'll follow it up once we've kind of gone through the first round.
Parents, it's important that you know that high school students may carry phones. And we encourage them to carry phones. We feel that they're old enough, it is their responsibility to manage their phone. We want them to learn when it's appropriate to take my phone out. How do I use my phone as a learner? When their phones come out in the classroom, it's teacher directed. The teacher says, hey guys, take out your device and look up this or get this app, or it's teacher directed, right? So we really work with our high school students about appropriateness, restraint, having it on vibrate for all those texts and messages, and kind of helping them, you know, do not disturb when you walk into the classroom. And in the hallway time, you know, check your messages, see if mom sent you something about a family event or a schedule change. We discourage students to charge their phones here at school. Unfortunately, we do have students that will see a phone being charged unattended and it disappears. HMTCA, we're not responsible for your students' devices when they come. So please review some safety and restraint for our new 9th graders. This is new for them to have their phones with them legally in school. And we want you to have them with you, but we also want you to use them responsibly. Okay. So cafeteria, where you're going to hear, students, you'll hear about this in your second block class on Tuesday. Lunch is during our second block. Masks are worn in the cafeteria, but you take them off when you're eating. So when you're gathering your food, you have your mask on and it comes off for eating. We have a large cafeteria that students will be appropriately spaced, and we don't imagine more than 4 students at a table throughout our cafeteria. We also have outside seating in nice weather for our high school students, and that's for any high school student can sit outside as long as there's space for them to eat comfortably. We have tables and chairs and we have lots of benches. So that's a nice new privilege for our 9th graders to have an option to eat their lunch outside.
And the other thing, I know we've got about 5 minutes. Maybe we could extend it 5 more minutes because I know we have a bunch of slides. But for students who are online learning and have, want to get meals, we will follow that up. That information is located on the Hartford Public Schools website, but we'll follow that up too.
Thank you. Right, service learning in high school, and this is something some of these things you probably heard from Ms. Kaiser and I back in the spring when we gave a 9th grade orientation. But you're starting at 0 again, guys. Service learning for the high school is 15 hours a year, with a total of 30 hours for graduation. And that is a graduation requirement. It's the same format that you followed in middle school. Fill out the forms. We'll have some teachers to talk about, to be able to approve those. But I want to turn over, this is important. I have a few slides for you here. Mr. Leonard, who is our athletic director, I'll hand over the program to him regarding sports.
Good evening, all. I'm going to make this nice and quick. Athletics is a fluid situation. Currently, the CIAC is moving forward with fall sports. So as you can see, we are offering football, and that is a co-op with Buckley and SMSA students. We have boys and girls varsity soccer, boys and girls varsity cross country, girls volleyball, and girls swimming, which is also a co-op with Buckley. This year, girls swimming will take place at our pool due to renovations at Buckley High School. So the nice part about the swimmers, they are going to stay in our building. No matter what plan you choose, anyone can participate in sports. You must sign up on Privet. It's our temporary online system. We've used it in the past, so a lot of you will remember it. We are going to be moving to a new fan form system for the winter, hopefully, but because of where we are with today, we're sticking with Privet. If you are a returning athlete and you forgot your username and password, please call the 1-800 number. Do not create another account. The 1-800 number, which is on the how-to guide, they will provide you with updated passwords, and they can provide you with the email address that you used. Everyone must be cleared by the nurse. Now they are allowing 15 months for physicals. It used to be 13 months. Every 13 months you had to have a new physical, but due to doctors' offices being closed, they are allowing 15 months. So if you do have physicals, please feel free to email them in or fax them in or have your child bring them in. Real quick, the 9th grade students, you must be present in school to attend practices and games. You must be in your school uniform. You will change before practice. The parent needs to provide transportation after practice, picking them up. Practices usually last till about 5:30. If it is a game day, the school will provide transportation to and from the away game. The parent needs to pick them up at the school. The hybrid students, if you're in...
These are just the 9th grade parents at this
Gotcha.
meeting, but maybe review the distance.
Distance,
Mr.
yes.
Yes.
Not a problem. Distance learning students are allowed to participate in sports as well. The only difference there is parents need to provide transportation to and from practice and to and from games, both home and away. So distance learning students will not be allowed in the building, nor will they be allowed to ride the team bus. We are going through some protocols through the district, whether it's a COVID check that needs to take place once the sports season starts. I know you've probably heard that a lot of other schools have already started their sports. We are looking at possibly starting our sports in the next week to week and a half. So once we have those, all coaches will be running parent Zoom meetings to share the necessary information needed.
Mr. Leonard, I'm going to just jump in right now for a couple things just to draw everyone's attention to the chat. By the way, we do this so much that I just take for granted that so the chat, if you look at the bottom of your screen, the chat is like that talking bubble. And then when you press on that, it will open up and you will see things from me going into the chat. So I put what's the link, which if you click on that link right now, will go take you directly to that browser. You can also copy and paste it. And everything that Mr. Leonard is explaining was in an email that went out at the end of August. I also just want to put in my 2 cents. Not everybody is an athlete, and nor should they be, but we so invite and encourage our 9th graders to join. It's even if they didn't participate in the middle school sports program, you know, it's a fresh start in 9th grade. It's a great opportunity to get involved. You know, it's still, you know, it gets more intense as the years go on. And so there are some, you know, different expectations in high school sports, as I'm sure you remember. But please, like, if you're a student, if you're listening and you're a student and you're thinking, maybe I want to try that, I would say, yeah, give it a try. And if it's something that doesn't work out for you for whatever reason, we'll want to talk with you about other things you can get involved in. So you're all invited,
Yes.
encouraged.
We're highly encouraged. Practice is 5 days a week. So parents, just keep that in mind, that we are expecting the kids to practice Monday through Friday, every day, whether they're in school or distance. We do understand that there might be some transportation issues or logistics that need to be worked out. But unlike middle school, where it was 3 days a week, or sometimes your town and rec leagues where it's 1 or 2 days a week, high school sports are 5 days a week. Here are the head coaches for our fall season. Jason Smith is our boys soccer coach. Jeff Kramer is our girls soccer coach. Katie Canary is girls volleyball. James Bengiovanni is cross country. Kevin Quinn is football. And Juan Dominguez is girls swimming. If your child is interested in trying out for one of the sports, we also ask that you please email the proper coach so they can get in contact with you to start setting up a remind link so you can receive team messages and figure out when the first days actually are and where they're practicing and so on and so forth.
So friendly hint, if you haven't done it already, this is a time, if you have a phone nearby that you're not using for this Zoom call, snap a picture, look through the email that Mr. Leonard sent back a couple weeks ago, take a screenshot, and feel free to reach out to these coaches. And now we're over our time, so I'm not
So
sure.
that's good. I mean,
Oh, okay,
that's,
perfect.
yep.
No, go ahead.
That's, I mean, I have other extraneous slides, but that's the bulk of the important information that we did want to get out today.
So yeah, thank you so much for attending this meeting, for asking the questions that you did put in the chat. I did try to answer everyone that came through. If you need uniforms, if you need devices, tomorrow from 10 to 1 at the Broad Street entrance. And just let us, you know, we can't express to you how excited we are to begin this school year online and in person. And this is just the beginning of our communication. Again, we will also be sending out communication related to supplies, as that seems to be a need that some people are expressing. And since we have some team leader teachers here that maybe want to add something, we'll take a comment from them.
We're good to go.
All
Can't
right.
wait to see them next week.
Awesome.
We are definitely all excited to see the kids coming back. We can't wait.
I do see a hand, Ms. Goldstein. I don't know if we have time for questions.
Sure, we can take a question, and if people want to sign off, we will be back in touch shortly with follow-up in the email.
I just have one question. Where can we get the uniforms?
So if you're buying new uniforms, the Living Word uniform company and Land's End are sort of the two go-tos. And the school has every single shape and size high school, because our seniors, when they came to pick things up, dropped off like every uniform they've ever had. So if you wanted to grab a couple, that's tomorrow from 10 to 1.
Well, no, I'd rather buy some new ones, but can you send me the addresses of the places? Because right now I don't have a pen or nothing handy
No
in order
problem.
for me
And
to write
our
anything down.
HMTCA website does have that as well.
HMTCA? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
And personal laptop, absolutely, thank you. Personal laptops are definitely not only allowed, but they're welcome. Thank you, because we have limited supplies of our things. So I love Living Word. Living Word is on Homestead Avenue. They're a pleasure to work with. I'm putting that in the chat. And oops, I said Living Work. So please, know that they're looking forward to doing business with you.
JB Pride Uniforms also has them because we did get some there.
Say that again.
JB Pride Uniforms in East Hartford also has.
Okay. Great. How do you spell that? I can put it.
JB as in boy, Pride Uniforms.
Okay.
And it's in East Hartford.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I think that may also be on our website. And
the other one is uniforms and stuff, 541 Albany.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. And also somebody asked if we could just flash the schedule back up on this screen, and we will be sending that out too. So we'll leave.
Good question about books that I forgot to return last year for both of my children. Is it a good time tomorrow to bring those back to the school, or have them bring it the
That would
first
be lovely. Yep. Nope, that would be great. Very helpful. Thank you.
Hi, Julie. I just have a quick question.
Yeah.
Two things, because I'm trying to go through my supply school list for both my girls. And Kiara received it. She's going into grade 8, but Brianna didn't receive one. And then also, I wanted to know if I wanted to buy her a personal computer, what do you suggest?
So as for the supplies, I will send that out tonight. The personal, I think that anything like a Chromebook is what we would suggest, because everything that we're doing is web-based and cloud-based. So that should be fine. And if Ms. Brahman is here and has different or additional suggestions, that's your expert.
Whatever is the basically not the cheapest thing in the world, but you don't need to spend a fortune since everything is cloud and web-based. Not much is actually being stored on the actual hard drive of the computer. So it doesn't have to be a really jacked up hard drive. So you can save some money on that too.
All right. But as long as it's a Chromebook, she should be able to
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to sign off now, and thank you guys again. And we'll be looking forward to seeing our new high school students, our leaders, class of 2024 on Tuesday the 8th and online on Tuesday the 8th at 9 o'clock. And all of this will be sent out to you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.